Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome back to our third session. It's been a pleasure serving you all, and it's also been very heartwarming the messages that I have received from you all, including entire families, in appreciation for this quest that we have started. I think it's going to be very interesting. Let's take it further. Yesterday I talked about Maharaja Ranjit Singh as a whole lot to share on Maharaja Ranjit Singh, but I want to introduce the family first. I wanted to introduce the family first. Let's go through the family, the three generations, so that we know who we are dealing with, because we are total strangers. We are total strangers to our royal family. So let me introduce the family before we go into the details of it. So today I would rather, instead of Maharaja Ranjit, continuing on Maharaja Ranjit Singh, I want to talk about Maharani Jindan. And I'm going to start with a picture of Maharani Jindan that I found in one of my. So there she is. You can see that she really is a Maharani, and she deserves to be a Maharani. There she is, Maharani Jindan, for all of you to view. And while we are there, I am going to take the opportunity to show you a picture of Maharaja Dalip Singh, because I'm sure you've already gone to the internet to see, you're seeing everything in reverse over there, but doesn't matter. Now that is Maharaja Dalip Singh, and I want to share a little bit. That's him in full regalia, Indian regalia. You know why I say the word Indian? Because this painting was done in Buckingham Palace. It was done in Buckingham Palace. Queen Victoria got the best, most renowned artist in Europe at that time, Mr. Winterhalter from Germany. He was a German. She had him brought over from Germany and had this painting painted in her drawing room in Buckingham Palace. That is your Maharaja. So this painting to me is very special. I have a large version of this, print of this in my living room. It's the centerpiece of my living room. It means a lot to me. So see, this is that painting. I've just showed you these two. As we go along, I'll be introducing other family members, but for now and for today, these two will suffice. Now, coming to the story, we are in 1839. I want to remind you that in 1838 is the year of birth of Prince Dalip, Maharaja Ranjit Singh's youngest grandchild, Maharaja Dalip, whose story we will be expanding on as we go along. He was Maharani Jindan's son. He was therefore 1 year old in 1839 when Maharaja Ranjit Singh passed away. After that, there was chaos in the kingdom. Everybody, as you know, when in a kingdom the king dies, everybody wants to be the next king. So all this intrigue, all these conspiracies, there were killings, there were murders, stabbings, princes were bludgeoned to death, beaten to death. All this time, there was a case on one day, two of them were killed. In the same day, two of them were killed. And this is what went on for the next 5 to 6 years, until the entire line of heirs from Maharaja Ranjit Singh's family were wiped out. All his elder brothers, Sher Singh, Nihal Singh, every one of them, all of them were killed. One by one. Somebody was Maharaja for 4 months, somebody was Maharaja for 3 months. Before they could warm the throne that they were sitting on, somebody would find a way how to kill them. One was poisoned by mercury poisoning. So this is what went on. The British were trying every way and means to clear the path for their invasion. The people who had power in Punjab, they all, with their selfish and greedy objectives, everyone wanted to be the next Maharaja. So all this went on. Now he was Now with all of them dead, only one left, and that is Prince Dalip. He was 6 years old, 5 years and 11 months to be exact, when they put him on the throne. They put him on the throne, the last surviving heir of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. All the others had been killed off, murdered, assassinated. They put him on the throne. But there was a problem. He was a minor. He is underage, 6 years old. So somebody has to rule the kingdom. And in cases like this, because Maharani Jindan was his mother, she was appointed the Rajmata. She was the Queen Mother. She became the regent of Punjab. Regent means she will rule Punjab until Dalip Singh reaches the age of majority, which at that time was decided to be 16 years old. Until he was 16, she will be the one who rules the kingdom. This was very inconvenient for the British. She was a brilliant woman. She was a warrior. She was a queen. She was a heroine. She was not just an ordinary person who found herself because of her beauty becoming a queen. She was a leader, and she was running the kingdom, and she was telling Dalip Singh and the ministers what to do, and this was inconvenient for the British. The British are not, they are very, very intelligent people, and I wish we as Sikhs also exercised the intelligence and the brilliance our Guru has given us, which has been very lacking over the last few decades. There are such brilliant leaders that we have in India. I've listened to their speeches, I've heard them talk, but nothing what they say comes to pass, because the Thekedars will not allow it. The people with vested interest will not allow it. So we are still strangulated by that problem. Now, Maharani Jindan was brilliant. So were the British. She was on this side, they were on the other. They had an entire empire. They had the India office thinking for them. The India office was the department in the British government that was concerned with Indian affairs. Then they had their governor generals and their residents and whatever in the whole of India. And she's on her own. They came up with a scheme how to separate these two, because as long as Maharani Jindan had her influence on Dalip Singh, the British will get nowhere near Punjab. They can enter Punjab, they can defeat the Sikhs in the Anglo-Sikh wars, but they will never be able to control Punjab, because the population was still loyal to Maharani Jindan and to Dalip Singh, to their Maharaja and Maharani. So they came up with a brilliant scheme. Brilliant. What did they do? They entered the Darbar, they entered the palace in the middle of a session, in the middle of Darbar. They entered the palace with all her generals and all her ministers, and they got hold of her, they dragged her in front of all the others, and they dragged her screaming. I will dedicate one whole session in the future to that particular incident that happened in the Darbar. I will dedicate. You will understand why I will be dedicating it, because it is very, very significant and very, very important. So they took her, and what did they do? They imprisoned her in Lahore, in the same city, just 2 kilometers down the road in Saman Burj, where there was a prison. ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੰਦੀ ਬਣਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਉਸ ਬੰਦੀ ਖਾਨੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਬੰਦੀ ਖਾਨੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਤਾ in the prison in Lahore fort. How brilliant. Why brilliant? Because there will be no reaction from the public. After all, they've only arrested her. They will probably release her in a few days just to show her who's boss or something like that. They will let her go. She is the Maharani. How can they keep her in prison? So nobody reacted. So nobody reacted. And this is exactly the reason why the British didn't take her far away. They just took her down the street and put her in Saman Burj and locked her up there. She was a prisoner in Lahore fort. And then they waited. They waited to see the response from the people of Punjab. There wasn't much of it. People were angry, people were annoyed, people were upset. There must have been some fist punching and whatever noises and all, but nobody, there were no riots and burnings and fighting, no rebellion. Now the next step. That after a few weeks of letting the temperatures come down of her arrest, they moved her 30 kilometers to Sheikhupura fort. ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੀਖਾਨਾ ਸੀਗਾ, there was a prison in there. Every fort had a prison. They locked her up inside there as a prisoner in Sheikhupura, 30 miles away. Now you can see what is happening. They are trying to move the Rani slowly in stages further and further away from the public and the public eye of Punjab. They have succeeded in taking her away from her son. Now Dalip Singh is on his own. He is now at the disposal of all those nekamme ministers, wazirs, sardars, whoever those people were who had betrayed the kingdom. He was left in their hands. And she was taken away. She was the one stabilizing force. They took her away. So, but they didn't take her away too far. No, we don't want a rebellion here. So they put her 30 miles away and now they wait. They wait to see whether there's going to be any reaction or not. Haha, no reaction. Oh, it'll only be for a few days. I'm sure they will bring her back to Lahore. You know, this would be the typical kind of conversations. I mean, she is the Maharani. They can't keep her in Sheikhupura. उन्हें वापस से ले आना पड़ेगा. महारानी है, दलीप दी माँ है, राजमाता है. So this would be the conversations that would have been fed to the public. You know, this is called disinformation in political jargon, in espionage and counter-espionage jargon. This is called disinformation, where certain information is fed to the public by the authorities. It's not information, it's disinformation. So this kind of versions would be spread out into the public, so it will take root and people will not be too bothered. After a few days, people went on with their business again. Then the third step now was to take her completely out of Punjab. Where did they take her? In the middle of the night, out of Punjab to Banaras. Near Banaras is a place called Chunar. They took her to Chunar prison. You know where is Banaras? 1,000 miles away from Punjab. They took her there. You can see how step by step they were taking her further and further away and waiting for reaction. When she was totally out of sight, out of mind, they would do something. So now she is in Chunar, which is near Banaras. Nobody in Banaras knows who's Maharani. Now the Sikh agents cannot even reach her. Earlier, at least, they may be able to sneak news to her. They may be able to contact her secretly. All these things could have happened while she was still in Punjab. Now that is becoming more and more difficult. You think they stopped in Chunar? After Chunar, they took her another few hundred miles to Mirzapur jail. Fourth move. The audit trail was becoming so confusing. Don't forget, in those days, it would have been impossible for anyone to know. India is a huge place. There's no way that anyone would know where she is. They were so terrified of this woman, the power that she held in her hand. This is the takat. She was the Sherni of Punjab. If Maharaja Ranjit Singh was the Sher-e Punjab, she is the Sherni of Punjab. That is how terrified they were. Then they took her to Mirzapur. And I think, was it on the first day, in the first session that I told you all, how from Mirzapur is where she manages to escape. It was so far away from civilization, the British authorities were quite lax. After a few months, when nothing seemed to be happening and they seemed to be so safe, and as I told you, how it happened, she had a servant. There was a woman assigned to her to serve her. You know, she was still treated in a certain way, treated as the regent of Punjab. She was still given some respect. So she was assigned a servant. एक दिन उस नौकरानी ने महारानी ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ, Maharani ji, me and my family cannot bear to see your condition. Day and night you cry. Day and night you are in sadness, in misery, in grief. I cannot bear to see you. If there is anything me or my family can do to serve you, you must let us know. You must let us know. It will make us feel a lot better if there is something we can do for you. And that is when Maharani thought about it, and she came up with a brilliant scheme. So over the next couple of days, she says to her, you made me this offer. I have an idea. I have a plan, but it will cost you very dearly. Tenu is the mul bahut mehenga payega. She said, the Naukarani says, kuch bhi ho. If there is some way I can serve you, let me know. And that's when Maharani revealed to her the plan to exchange clothes. So the servant would come in the morning, and sometime in the normal time when the servant would leave, they would exchange clothes, and Maharani Jindan would leave in her place. And before she left, Maharani Jindan embraced the servant, ਕੁੱਟ ਕੇ ਬਗਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਮੱਥਾ ਚੁੰਮਿਆ ਉਸ ਬੀਬੀ ਦਾ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ that if I survive and if I ever get my kingdom back, I will come and look for you, and you will get the reward that you deserve for the love that you have shown to me and your sacrifice. Because tomorrow morning when the Angrez, I forgot to tell you that they were so afraid. The Angrez was so afraid. The jailer jada Kotwal siga, he was under instruction never to open the door to her cell. He was only to open the little window and he was to call her name, and she would instruct him what she is going to have for her meals on that day. That was the only conversation. She was in Bandigraha. She was Nazar Band. She was in solitary confinement. Nazar Band. No contact with any human being was allowed. And that was the only thing that was allowed. So she told her servant that tomorrow morning when that man comes and he calls, you will have to answer on my behalf. Of course, the next morning when they came and she answered, would have tried her best to imitate, but they knew that the voice was different. She gave some excuses. They burst into the cell. They found her.